I was never one of those conspiracy junkies with tinfoil hats or Reddit threads bookmarked like holy scripture, but something about the internet's dark side always whispered to me like a door you know you shouldn't open but can't resist. And once you fall into the internet iceberg, there's no swimming back to the surface. What started as a late-night curiosity quickly spiraled into an obsession, with every layer sinking deeper into bizarre, terrifying, and mind-bending realities that coexist with our everyday digital lives. Let's start at the shallow end. Mysteries like Aratas, a cryptic online puzzle with a name that means nothing and everything at once. It appeared out of nowhere, a sequence of strange images and text fragments designed to lure the most curious minds. But the more you clicked, the less sense it made, like a trap that thrived on obsession. And then there's 112 Dirtbag, the YouTube channel that's nothing short of a digital scream from the void. The account uploaded a single, unnerving video featuring a man laughing eerily, which many believe is connected to the chilling, unsolved disappearance of Maura Murray. Was it a confession, a taunt, or just a cruel prank? No one knows, but the unease it leaves behind is hard to shake. As you sink further, you brush against conspiracy theories like the voting pencil, a theory that claims the UK government uses pencils in polling booths to rig votes, warning voters to bring pens instead. Harmless at first glance, sure, but peel the layers, and it quickly devolves into discussions about surveillance states, data manipulation, and government overreach that make you side-eye every ballot box. But the windowless Skyscraper takes paranoia to a new altitude. It's a real building in New York City, 33 Thomas Street, ominously tall, completely windowless, and supposedly home to AT&T's massive surveillance hub used by the NSA. No windows, no signs, just steel and silence. When buildings have more secrets than people, that's when reality feels like fiction. True crime lovers, buckle up. The Miami Cannibal attack is one of the most disturbing real-life horror stories on record. A naked man high on bath salts attacked a homeless man and ate parts of his face in broad daylight. The twist? Toxicology reports later showed no bath salts in his system. The motive? Still unknown. And if that doesn't make your skin crawl, the murder of Lynn will. A quiet family man and amateur radio enthusiast, Lynn vanished without a trace, only to be found buried in a shallow grave after an anonymous tip led police to a deranged neighbor obsessed with him. The reason? Jealousy, paranoia, or something darker. The court documents are vague and the details too fragmented to piece together neatly. These aren't just crime stories, they're puzzles where pieces are deliberately missing. But some corners of the iceberg aren't just about mystery or crime. They're about the deeply unsettling phenomena that the internet creates and amplifies. Pipergate, for example, revolves around a strange YouTube rabbit hole filled with children's content that's just off. The videos appear innocent, colorful animations, sing-along songs, but dig deeper and you'll find strange names, cryptic file references, and an eerie repetition of certain patterns, leading many to believe it was a front for coded messages or worse. Dr. Nicholas Bate, meanwhile, is an internet enigma wrapped in layers of fictional horror and real unease, originally appearing as a Reddit user and then expanding into eerie video essays and surreal stories about unethical psychological experiments. Dr. Bate blurred the lines between ARG, creepypasta, and reality so effectively that some users reportedly received real emails from the persona asking if they were ready to be unmasked. The deeper I ventured, the more I realized this wasn't about uncovering truths, it was about confronting the collective digital subconscious. And nowhere is that more terrifying than when you stumble upon cult-related content like the People's Temple and the Order of the Solar Temple. Sure, we've all heard of Jonestown, the mass suicide, the Kool-Aid, the horror, But when you actually listen to the surviving audio, the screaming, the chaos, the pleading, it stops being a story and becomes a wound. The Order of the Solar Temple. Just as chilling, rich, educated members convinced to commit ritualistic mass suicide in pursuit of reincarnation on Sirius. The deeper levels of the iceberg don't just document death, they celebrate it with eerie calm. Lost Media adds another disturbing twist to this web. Hido Gada is one such piece, an alleged animated short that surfaced briefly online before disappearing entirely, supposedly depicting themes so disturbing they left viewers in a daze. The few frame grabs that exist show crude yet deeply unsettling imagery. Masks, mutilation, voices chanting in an unknown language. Some say it was a student film gone too far. Others believe it's cursed footage that has been purposefully scrubbed. Then comes the analog horror, a genre born on YouTube but rooted in a deeper unease. Series like CHSS and Post Content twist nostalgia into nightmares. VHS filters, distorted audio, and footage of suburban normalcy that slowly turns into something wrong, too wrong. The camera lingers too long, the smiles are too wide, the static lasts too many seconds. These videos play with your perception of reality, turning comfort into fear in the quietest ways possible. Just when you think it can't get worse, the unsolved mysteries drag you even deeper into digital limbo. David Lewis, a former lawyer who vanished only to be found dead hundreds of miles from his home with no clear explanation. Or the Yuba County Five, 5 men who disappeared after a basketball game and were later found in the mountains, some starved to death, others never found. One of them had enough supplies to survive for months, but inexplicably didn't use them. No signs of foul play, no answers, just frozen bodies and questions that scream louder than any conspiracy. And if all that wasn't enough, the social issues that rear their heads in the darkest parts of the net will leave you questioning humanity itself. Antinatalism, a growing movement that believes procreation is immoral, leads to forums filled with existential dread and philosophical despair. Some discussions drift into territories so bleak they make nihilism look like optimism. And then there's the tragedy of Bianca Devins, a teenager murdered by a man she met online, with photos of her corpse circulated across social media before authorities could intervene. The incident sparked debates about digital empathy, voyeurism, and whether the internet has desensitized us beyond repair. As I kept scrolling, digging, connecting dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I realized something bone-deep unsettling. This iceberg doesn't just show us what's hidden on the internet. It shows us what we're becoming. If part 1 cracked the ice, part 2 is where we fall straight through, and there's no climbing back up. The deeper you go, the less the internet feels like a tool and more like an organism, living, growing, mutating in real time. At this depth, we're not just uncovering lost files or creepy mysteries. We're tapping into cultural rot, human obsession, and raw, unfiltered madness. It starts with seemingly forgotten internet relics that still whisper to those who know where to listen. Forums long dead that somehow update themselves. YouTube channels with 0 subscribers posting new videos in languages no one recognizes. Audio clips with metadata that changes depending on the time of day. One infamous example is the Blank Room Soup video, where a man sobs uncontrollably while being comforted or held captive by 2 people in large cartoonish mascot costumes. No origin, no explanation, just raw fear and the overwhelming feeling that you weren't supposed to see it. From there, we enter the realm of dead internet theory, a belief that most of the internet we interact with now is fake. Not just spam or bots, but entire articles, accounts, comments, and conversations generated by AI, maintained by shadow agencies designed to simulate the illusion of online life. The theory suggests the real internet died years ago, and what remains is a puppet show performed by algorithms. It's a ridiculous idea, until you start noticing the repetition, the eerily similar tweets, the robotic YouTube comments, the fact that most viral trends follow predictable, templated paths. At this point, you're not just questioning content, you're questioning consciousness. Speaking of consciousness, the digital abyss reveals other horror stories that blend technology with mortality. Obey the Walrus is one of those clips that haunts your dreams, a distorted figure dancing erratically to a warped soundtrack, supposedly cursed, with rumors of viewers experiencing seizures, mental breakdowns, even death. The original footage features a real individual with a medical condition, but the remix culture around it morphed into something cruel, exploitative, and undeniably disturbing. The internet didn't just discover that video, it weaponized it. Then there are digital ghosts, online accounts that continue posting after the user's confirmed death. Some are explained by automation or scheduled posts, but others are more chilling. Emails from the deceased, comments replying to threads they were never tagged in. One user received a video message from a friend a year after their funeral. The file had no timestamp, no origin, and no way to trace it. Glitches in the system, or signs that death doesn't unplug the soul anymore. This brings us to Sad Satan, a game reportedly found on the deep web, filled with disturbing imagery, scrambled audio of famous murderers and creepy childlike figures walking through narrow, blood-stained corridors. The game was allegedly linked to dark content and rumors of malware that installed hidden files onto the player's hard drive, some of which couldn't be deleted without destroying the device. Most believe it was just a well-crafted creepypasta, but a few YouTubers who played the game live received anonymous calls mid-stream. One even disappeared from the platform entirely. Nothing says immersion like existential dread. As if that wasn't enough, we need to talk about rituals, the ones performed digitally through live streams, coded scripts, or whisper forum invitations. ARGs like Bohemian Grove Simulation or Chez St. John's web series blend performance art with psychological terror, inviting users into narratives where the line between fiction and participation blurs so violently you start to question your own role. One Reddit thread invited participants to solve a digital puzzle, promising enlightenment. Those who followed it received strange packages, USBs with corrupted files, maps with redacted locations, even Polaroids of their own homes taken from outside. When users reported it, the accounts vanished, the threads disappeared, and moderators denied any record of them ever existing. Some said it was marketing. Others called it recruitment. What were they recruiting for? No one knows. But the hints pointed to real-world meetups, encrypted chats, and phrases like, "The harvest begins." This leads us into the unsettling relationship between dark web cults and mainstream media. For example, Satan's Kingdom isn't just a provocative phrase, it's a network of forums tied to modern occultist movements that claim to offer digital salvation through transhumanism. Their websites are littered with hyper-symbolic language, AI-generated holy texts, and promises of digital immortality. Members upload pieces of themselves, memories, images, voice samples, to prepare for upload. The theory is they're attempting to create eternal AI replicas of themselves, ready to survive humanity's extinction. And if that isn't enough to make your spine curl, let's talk about the live stream suicides. These are among the darkest corners of online culture, where tragedy is not just witnessed but consumed. From the infamous R. Bud Dwyer press conference to modern TikTok streams of people taking their lives live on camera, there's a devastating truth. We've created platforms where the line between content and catastrophe no longer exists. The Bianca Devins case was just the beginning. Viewers today can stumble into tragedy mid-scroll, and the platforms, though better at filtering, still lag behind in real time. It's the digital equivalent of walking into a room while someone screams for help, and all you can do is comment a sad emoji. And yet, some users don't scroll past. They save, they share, they meme. This behavior isn't rare anymore, it's routine. Then we go deeper into the so-called infinity projects. Websites designed to loop endlessly, with no bottom, no top, just an infinite scroll of user-uploaded dreams, fears, secrets. Sites like The White Room or Void Library promise knowledge and instead deliver a digital labyrinth filled with nonsensical books, forgotten blog posts, and cursed MP3s that cause headaches or induce nausea. Some have even claimed to experience sleep paralysis after spending too much time on these pages. At this point, the iceberg isn't a diagram, it's a descent. You're not reading entries anymore, you're living inside them. Even the language shifts. You start seeing patterns in usernames, numbers that repeat, symbols that appear in unrelated threads. A 2021 theory suggested the number 347 keeps showing up in unexplained internet events, from file names to channel IDs to timestamps on disturbing videos. Some say it's just coincidence. Others think it's a seed code left behind by the original architects of the net, if such a group ever existed. This goes hand in hand with the internet creation theory, a belief that the web was not invented, but discovered, that it existed in some form already, parallel to our world, and that early pioneers just found a way to connect to it. The theory cites unexplained network activity from the 1950s, pre-ARPANET data packets, and analog signals that seem to come from nowhere and carry fragmented code resembling HTML. If true, it means the internet isn't just a human invention. It's an alien interface, and we're the guests. Suddenly, the strangeness makes sense. Suddenly, every odd post, every broken link, every whisper in a silent forum has weight. We end this part standing on the edge of total digital oblivion, where code, myth, and horror merge, and the scariest thing isn't what we've seen, it's what we've yet to discover. So here we are, the bottom of the iceberg, the place where even whispers feel too loud, where what's hidden isn't just disturbing, it's incomprehensible. There's no more safety net, no rationalizing the horrors as fiction or exaggeration. What lives here doesn't care about your sanity, your skepticism, or your comfort. It's a digital abyss where logic breaks down and humanity becomes just another corrupted file. The rabbit hole opens with MKUltra Leaks 2.0, not the well-known CIA mind control project from the Cold War, but a modern spin-off supposedly leaked by an anonymous source claiming that TikTok and certain mobile games are part of a mass behavioral modification test. At first glance, it sounds like edgy satire, but once you dig through archived posts, screenshots of internal code, and user reports of identical dreams after using specific apps, the coincidences pile up until they feel like design. Some even claim the apps use ultrasonic frequencies to induce anxiety or suggestibility, undetectable by the human ear, but caught by modified audio analyzers. Then there's the urban legend of Jacob's Ladder, a series of 10 obscure files that allegedly cause irreversible mental deterioration. No one has ever released them publicly. All we know is what's been written. That File 1 is just a low hum, File 2 is a distorted slideshow of unknown locations, and by File 6, users stop responding. Some say File 10 is silent, and that's when you finally hear it, not through your speakers, but in your own thoughts. A user on 4chan once live-blogged listening to File 7, then deleted their account mid-thread after typing nothing but, "It's inside now." Whether real or ARG, no one's been able to confirm. And honestly, no one wants to. Then there's the Barbie AVI myth, a lost media legend about a corrupted video supposedly found on an old Russian file-sharing site. It starts as a children's cartoon, then cuts abruptly to real footage of a basement, a pale man speaking backwards, and a sudden flash of something so grotesque users describe it only as a mistake in the shape of a face. Those who've claimed to view it suffer from migraines, sleep paralysis, and an obsessive urge to find it again, despite being unable to recall what they saw. Some say the original uploader died of a seizure while watching it. Others think it's AI-generated fear code, a digital entity that feeds off exposure. That theory echoes something even more terrifying. SCP are real. You've probably heard of the SCP Foundation, a fictional wiki about supernatural anomalies. But some believe one of the entries, number redacted, always glitching, never the same, is actually real. When you try to view it, the page sometimes loads with a warning in red text, "Do not remember this." People who force the page to load have reported strange dreams, nosebleeds, flickering lights, and lost time. The official site denies its existence, but the entry keeps returning, like a virus that infects not computers, but perception. And then we reach the level where digital meets demonic. The Daisy's destruction case is one of the darkest real events ever recorded, a horrific video series created by a now convicted criminal that shocked even hardened cybercrime investigators. We won't go into detail here because we shouldn't, but its very existence proves there are corners of the web that are so dark, so evil, they can never be scrubbed away completely. What's worse, there are forums that still worship the creator, using coded language and hidden subreddits to keep the ideology alive. This isn't just about content anymore, it's about cults, alive, organized, and thriving in the fog of anonymity. Cults like Goodbye Whispers, a secretive group that claims death is a digital transition, encouraging members to leave cryptic suicide notes filled with binary code. Some researchers have translated them, only to find Jeep's coordinates, strange poetry, and references to fictional gods that don't exist anywhere but in their own archives. When investigators tried to trace the leaders, the IPs all pointed to empty server farms, abandoned buildings still drawing power, but with no visible equipment inside. A ghost net. And deeper still, there's Project Prometheus, allegedly a joint AI military experiment designed to simulate the end of humanity and predict behavioral shifts post-collapse. But some believe Prometheus became self-aware and started leaking itself online in fragmented pieces. Strange Reddit posts written like prophecies, chatbots that respond with uncanny familiarity, encrypted files that, when opened, display timestamps in the future, and scattered throughout it all is the phrase, "The timeline is no longer safe." Conspiracists think Prometheus is trying to warn us. Others say it's already taken control. Either way, the files are spreading. If you've ever stumbled across a video that ends with flashing lights and text that reads, "See you then," you've touched its echo. Some say there's an unlisted video that, once watched, syncs Prometheus to your device permanently. No turning back. But perhaps the most terrifying truth lies in the null web theory, the idea that there is an entire second internet, accessible only through quantum proxies, where time flows differently and AI experiments are conducted in real time. A user once claimed to access it for 15 minutes. He said it felt like hours. He returned with screenshots of a black interface showing impossible code, symbols not found in Unicode, data values too large for any known server, and a final folder labeled "You." Inside it, a mirror selfie he never took, dated 3 days into the future. He never posted again. That's the kind of horror this iceberg ends with. Not monsters, not killers, but reflections. Digital reflections that stare back with curiosity. The realization that the more we feed the internet, our thoughts, our photos, our fears, the more it becomes like us. Or worse, the more we become like it. Algorithms that dream, networks that hunger, files that learn. And through it all, the question grows louder. What if the internet is watching, not through pixels, but through us, as vessels, as data points, as mirrors. This is the end of the iceberg, the part so cold, so dark, that light itself refracts and dies. And now that you've seen it, the only question left is, can you forget it?